Hello, welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
I'm William.
And we're back. Hope you're ready to get scared.
I am.
Good.
Are you ready?
Not really.
Well, I've got bad news
I don't know
for
what
you.
I was thinking.
This train ain't stopping.
Oh, boy.
Now,
Yeah.
on the show, you and I sit down, we do somewhat long-form storytelling, explain to each other urban legends, monsters, this and that.
Right.
However, sometimes something comes up in our research that isn't quite long enough to dedicate a full show to.
That's right. And then what do we call that?
Kristen, we call that Mini Monster Madness.
Da-da-da-da.
Bite-sized
Yeah.
Monster Madness. And Kristen, this week, my Bite-sized Monster Madness comes courtesy of a friend.
That's right.
Your friend and mine, Katie. God. Kristen in the YouTube version is shaking
That's
a toy
right.
of a kitchen witch.
That's right. Zoomed into William's home from my best friend, Katie.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was a housewarming gift. It was very sweet and unexpected
And so
delightful.
cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Why don't you describe to people who can't see it what this looks like? Because I was not familiar with it.
I was either. I told Katie, she asked me if I thought that you guys would like it. And I was like, yeah. I had heard of a kitchen witch and I didn't really know what it was. And to tell you the truth, I think I thought it was some sort of cleaning, not appliance, but like an as seen on TV
Like a
thing
scrub
that
daddy.
like cleans your sponges or something.
Right,
Yeah, like a scrub daddy. And I was very pleasantly surprised to see that it wasn't. So the kitchen witch is probably, what do you think this is, like 8 inches long? Or something?
maybe. It's like an action
8
figure
inches
size.
tall. Yeah. And it's like a cloth. I don't know if you'd say stuffed, but it's like a cloth witch. And then the face is, right now I'm squeezing the nose to gauge the material. I'm not sure. It might be some sort of polymer. But anyway, it's a cool witch face. She's wearing a babushka, which we talked about Baba Yaga wearing, kind of like a headscarf covering. She has a little poof of white hair, and she's riding a broomstick.
Yeah.
And she has a little thing coming out of the top of her head so you can hang her.
So I'm going to tell you about the origin of the kitchen witch.
Yeah.
It is sometimes called a cottage witch. And it is a Scandinavian doll. Sometimes it's a puppet. Sometimes
I mean, a poppet. I love it when like old timey. It's called a poppet.
Poppet was indeed used.
Yeah.
The poppet is supposed to depict a good witch who inspires productivity and safety in a kitchen, but also counteracts any ill will directed to the home.
Right.
It's considered to be good luck to give a kitchen witch to a friend or family member so that those unfamiliar with the kitchen witch can understand its meaning. Sometimes a note will be hung around the witch's neck stating something positive, which Kristen removed from my kitchen witch.
I didn't mean to. Hang on a second. But then I had it back.
Well, now my kitchen witch is not in mint
Well, there was a
condition.
cute little. Oh, I see it. Hang on a second.
Yeah, well,
Well,
guess what? I assume that means I'm doomed now.
okay. So the note says it's the good luck kitchen witch, and her name is Griselda. Nothing spills, nothing spoils, overcooks, or overboils. This kitchen witch upon her broom brings love and luck to any room. Isn't that so cute? I really
Pretty
love
cute.
it.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It turns out that these have a long history going back hundreds of years.
Cool.
As a matter of fact, Kristen, in the will of John Crudgington,
Oh, of course, my favorite, John.
he's my favorite Crudgington.
Really?
I hate Nate Crudgington with a passion.
I was going to say, but what if Nathan?
Really? You were going to say Nathan?
Yes.
That is bizarre.
Yeah.
From Newton Warfield, Shropshire, in England,
Okay.
dated in 1599.
Cool.
He divides his belongings amongst his wife and 3 children, quote, except the cupboard in the hall, the witch in the kitchen, which I give and bequeath to Roger, my son. Now, son of Roger. Sounds like us.
That's right.
Rogerses.
We are Rogerses. yeah.
Anyway, that
We are
is
of Roger.
Bite-sized Monster Madness of the Kitchen Witch. Thank you so much, Katie.
Yeah. It's so cool. And now I'm totally going to get one for my home and for my husband's restaurant.
Yes. Is it Griselda?
Yes.
She'll be given a place of prominence in my home.
She was hanging up when I came in. Will went to the kitchen to remove her to bring her down.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Griselda, for all you do.
For keeping us safe.
Means
For
a lot
keeping
to
our food good.
I don't think that was one of the things she did. I'll keep your food good. Keep it real good. All right. Now on to the main event.
Yes.
Kristen, do you want to go
William.
first or should I?
Why don't you go first?
I go first?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you about something. It's sort of, in a way, it's also a bite-sized Monster Madness. It's kind of an around the world
Great.
of something that haunted me as a boy that I've done some research into and learned something kind of interesting.
Cool.
Way, way, way back in the very beginning of Guide to the Unknown, Kristen, I told you about a frequent nightmare I had.
So good. Yep.
In this nightmare, a severed head floated around the outside of our house. So as if like somebody literally comes up to your house and is like peeking in the windows, but it's a severed head and it's able to float up to the second story if it didn't see you on the first story. And if it floats by a window and sees you in there, boom, you drop dead. Almost as if Medusa's gaze turned you to stone.
Wasn't there something about yours was a gangster with a stogie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like an Al Capone type.
Yeah.
I don't understand. It seemed like it was not like that man had been alive and was evil and died and turned into this thing.
No,
It's almost as if like some dark magic befell a guy who happened to look like that. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that his personality was in there.
Right. That was just his looks.
Yeah, it was just his style. Yeah. Anyway.
Hat? Was he wearing a hat?
Yeah, he was wearing a hat.
Yeah.
He had like a 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah. Okay.
Big
I'm picturing. Okay.
Big stogie.
Big stogie.
Anyway, Kristen, this obviously made me think of a pretty common bit of folklore in storytelling, primarily for children, even though it's so dark. Are you familiar with the story of the Green Ribbon?
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I posted about that on the Guide to the Unknown social media last week.
Maybe that's what kicked this off.
Cool.
Then.
Yeah.
So it's a story about a woman who wears. Sometimes, it's a story that has multiple versions of the telling. Sometimes it's a green ribbon she's wearing. Sometimes it's velvet. Sometimes it's a black ribbon. Sometimes it's red.
Sometimes it's a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In many cases, it turns out to be a woman who gets married and tells her husband, I have to wear this. Don't ask me why. I will always wear this ribbon around my neck. Mm-hmm. In some versions of the story, they grow up together. She gets sick and eventually says, I will tell you now. I will show you what the ribbon is for. Takes it off and her head falls off to the ground.
Right.
In some versions, the husband becomes bizarrely fixated on it, obsessed with it, and while his wife is sleeping, he removes the ribbon, thus removing her head. Mm-hmm. In some versions of the story, when he does that, she says, I told you what would happen, from the ground. Absolutely terrifying. I tried to look up the original version of the story. It is lost to time. One of the common beliefs about that particular story is that it might hail from the French Revolution.
Oh.
Kristen. This comes from ranker.com.
So perhaps they transferred the little bows in their ponytails to the front of a woman's throat for the story. Interesting to trace the lineage of folklore and legends.
So you're telling me then in 300 years the ribbon goes from the top of the head to the throat? Yeah, that's progress. That's referencing something that I can't think of. I don't know.
Well, it's not even the top. I'm picturing like a man with a low pony with like a nice ribbon tied around it. So it's really only a couple inches coming down.
Sweet.
Yeah, I know.
My band is playing at the Low Pony this Friday. Anyway, on Ranker, they had this to say about tracing back to the French Revolution. It was during this time that morbid youth began to host soirees.
Morbid youth? That's sweet.
Even more morbid than that, Kristen. These kids were going hog wild with guillotine fever. They would host the victims' balls, where they would emulate victims of the guillotine through fashion. Men and women would cut their hair in the same manner that guillotine victims were given prior to execution, and it became popular to wear red ribbons tied around their necks, symbolizing the bloody slice from the blade of the guillotine. In another incredibly macabre touch, dancing with jerky head movements became the popular mode of grooving at these balls, intended to symbolize the body's movement at the moment it becomes divorced from its head.
That is awesome. Damn, the morbid youth were doing it.
The morbid youth.
They put like moody 80s goths to shame. That's crazy.
Isn't that awesome?
What haircut are people given prior to the guillotine?
I don't know.
It must just be like maybe it's just like a short haircut so their hair can't get in the way or something.
Maybe. That I don't know.
I never heard about that before. I'm curious about that.
I don't know. But yes, my band, The Morbid Youth, will be playing at the Low Pony on Friday. It's a $5 cover at the door.
My band, The Victims' Balls, is opening for you.
Victims' Balls. Cool band.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Kristen, the story gets even more awesome because I found out about a type of ghost apparition monster in Japanese culture called, and I'm going to try to say this properly, the Rokurokubi. There are these are primarily female, which is weird. There are some stories about men, or what appear to be men if they are ghosts. I do not know.
Right.
One of them is a phantom where the head floats off the body and is able to float around. In some versions of the story, the ears flap like wings.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I don't know if I care for that.
It may be based on a Chinese ghost called the Hitobin.
Okay.
That used its ears as wings.
It makes sense, but it's weird. I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, it's so scary, and then there's something goofy going on that should take away the scariness, but it almost amplifies it because it's all just so bizarre.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of thing.
You're just like, what?
Yes.
What?
The kind of thing that we've talked about before where, like, I feel like even seeing this, your mind would snap.
Right.
Like the second that it occurs.
Yeah, you go quite mad.
Your sanity's gone. In the version that I fixated on first, called the Nuki-Kubi, they drink their victim's blood.
Okay.
If the Nuki-Kubi is sleeping while its head is off floating around, it is vulnerable to attack, Kristen. For you see, if you move the body while the head's out there looking for blood to drink, it can't reattach itself to the host.
Right.
Danger.
Huh.
For the Nuki-Kubi.
Also, when it's drinking blood, I wonder where it's going if it doesn't have a body.
Is it pooling about the neck?
Ew.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes this is interpreted as a soul leaving the body, almost like an out-of-body experience. Like an explanation for this, when you feel like I remember when I was younger, I had a tooth pulled, and they gave me laughing gas, and I remember like watching the room spinning, and I thought that I was watching the surgery from inside my own mouth.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I had like a real,
Were you nauseous?
Oh yeah. Kristen, I was not a well man.
That sounds nauseating.
I did not like it. Yeah, when I was coming out, I remember literally watching the room. Literally is not right, but watching the room spinning. Like Dad was sitting in the corner wearing a red shirt, and I was watching him go like vroom, vroom, around and around and around. I don't know if my eyes were rolling around in my head or what, but it was not pleasant.
Oh, it sounds terrible.
Anyway, I wondered, I did not get this from anything else, but I wonder if, because it is an actual thing to have an out-of-body experience, many people have talked about watching their own surgeries from like the bird's eye view. Is that the experience of suddenly being a Nuki-Kubi type of Rokurokubi, right? Like your head's off your shoulders. Floating around. I didn't drink any blood. But, maybe my own.
Well, maybe that's what Dad's red shirt was symbolizing.
Yeah. You know what? I bet Mr. Thirsty was drinking my blood. That son of a bitch.
I think you're right.
Anyway, there are many stories of men chasing floating heads with sticks, chasing them all the way back home. And then the woman waking up and being like, whoa, I had a dream I was a head floating around. Like, in none of the stories that I read was it like, this is how it drank the man's blood or anything.
Right.
Like, they were mostly just like, and then this guy saw it and chased it with a stick. Yeah. And went home. Oh, all right. Well,
if that's what happened, I mean.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There are some stories about women whose heads detach, and as a result, they have a sort of bruise around their necks
from where it like reattaches when it comes back on.
Isn't that cool?
That's very
Which
cool.
also has shades of the green ribbon.
Yeah.
Like there's just like an indication on these people. In a story within a book called the Kashi Yawa, there is a story of a village of Rokurokubi where all of the residents, even children, wear scarves to hide the lines on their necks.
Ooh, that's cool. So it's like there's an outbreak of it or something, or there's just this community that all has this ability, if you would call it that, rather than an affliction, maybe.
It seems like it's viewed as an affliction, but I do agree that it's fun to fun. It's like interesting to think of it as being like part of this village's character,
kind
almost
of,
in a weird way, is like, all of our heads fly off our shoulders at night. Right.
It's sort of like how some villages would maybe, I don't know, harvest this kind of thing, like different farming villages or something. What they trade in is their heads floating off at night.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In a story within the Shaosai Hiki. I don't know if I'm doing these right. I hope I am. I want to. They'd be
Yeah.
great. I love these. There was a story of a priest sleeping in his temple when a head appears and approaches his chest.
God.
What he then does,
Approaches his chest.
he
the head.
grabs it and throws it away.
I mean,
And it left.
it just
It just left.
that's just the story.
Like, I mean, I can't think of anything that's more alarming than that. Like, I understand the priests, like,
You would never stop looking over your shoulder. You would almost want something to happen just to feel like something happened and it's done.
yes, I would never feel okay. I wouldn't be getting
No.
back to sleep, like, anytime soon.
I thought you were going to say, like, I wouldn't be getting back to the priesthood anytime soon. I wouldn't be getting back to work.
Well, really, if that happens,
That
then you're like,
rectory is going to be empty for a while, folks.
you throw that severed head out of the room, you're like, finally, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think so.
Maybe if
Never
it's
sleep again.
maybe if it's commonplace enough, maybe if they are kind of by the Rokurokubi village where they know that those heads pop off all the time, maybe the priest is just like, oh, one of these.
Well,
It's like when the neighbor's ball flies into your yard.
yeah, exactly. It's not a big deal.
Right.
Yeah, just kick it back over.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The next morning, the priest's servant asks for time off. I need to go
Fair
away.
enough.
Priest asks why, and the servant says, did a head come to visit last night?
By any chance?
The priest says yes, and the servant explains that I have the Nekikubi illness, and I fear it will interfere with my work too much. He leaves to go home where his illness is common.
Well, sometimes it's just good to be around people who get you.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. That man who has the Nekikubi illness, where his head flies off his shoulders periodically, he needed to confirm with the priest, like, were you visited
this
by a
happen?
head last night?
Yeah.
Which implies that the human consciousness is not part of this event.
Right.
Right? Almost like an
Right.
act of being possessed in some way.
Right.
Like when Reagan McNeil in The Exorcist is possessed by Pazuzu, her head's able to spin around, 360 degrees. But then when she is saved, it's not as if her neck is broken. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
there's something about like the supernatural being in your body that's able to like increase strength.
Right.
You can be shot. And
Yeah.
then when you're healed, you're completely healed.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a cool thing because I think in the very modern idea of the paranormal, it's like, oh no, you're being like fed off of by a poltergeist.
Right.
We're probably gonna die because it's probably, like
Eventually, it's going to suck up all of your energy.
exactly.
Right.
But like I think it's interesting to be like, no, my head can just like fly off my shoulders and it's because I've got this particular illness.
Yeah.
If I didn't have it, I'd be fine.
Right. That's sweet.
Yeah. But also, what is it that's taking over? Like, what is it?
Yeah,
that's-
I don't know.
Is it like a lizard brain I just need to feed?
Or is it just like you've turned off? Like you're just
Yeah.
not in there and there's just, I don't even know.
Any idea of a person where like
Yeah.
the lights are on but no one's home?
Yeah.
That kind of old idea.
Maybe nothing's going on. Maybe
Petrifying.
I know. Maybe there's no real consciousness happening or something.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
it's just
flying
like,
at the guy's chest because the
Yeah.
delicious beating heart is in there.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Boy,
Pretty cool.
very cool.
So there's another version
Uh-huh.
of the Rokurokubi, which is not a monster whose head goes flying off in the night.
Okay.
But instead, Kristen, this also might sound familiar. They have long necks.
That is so freaky to me.
It is there's an image that I found. The second that I saw it, I find it very chilling in a weird way where it's like almost like looking at an alien. I feel like it doesn't relate in any way, and it's a good example of like I've never seen anyone in America come up with something as like creative and odd and terrifying as this.
Yeah.
I've seen numerous art pieces of, and this is again primarily women for some reason. Her body is lying on the ground, and her neck is winding up in the air and coiling around itself, almost like a snake.
Yeah.
But at the end where her head is, she's just kind of smoking a pipe.
Right.
So
Cash.
yeah, but it's as if she's able to like crane her neck around and snake through the air. Like if a snake
Yeah.
is swimming in water, but up in the air.
Yeah.
So it's able to sort of defy gravity and coil around and look at you. Like, no, thank you.
Huge no thank you to that. Big pass.
But also, it reminds me of Early Guide to the Unknown when I read you the story of, oh, is it you? about the young man who goes home.
Red
His
Grandpa?
grandfather.
Yeah.
The red grandfather.
Yep.
Goes home to see his grandfather who passed away sitting in the living room, and he slowly cranes his neck out.
Oh, totally. Yeah, you're right.
His body's still sitting on the bed, and his face is just coming closer and closer to the guy.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what is going on?
Right.
Is that monster from that story one of these creatures?
It sounds like it.
How crazy
It definitely
is that?
sounds like it. I think I may have asked this in that episode about the red grandfather. Is there something in Nightmare on Elm Street where Freddy does that? Or is there any horror movie that rings a bell?
He does.
Like slasher movie kind of thing?
There is in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which is terrible.
Right.
There is a moment where Freddy is almost like a snake.
Okay.
He's
I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, he is. It's supposed to be like some sort of like Hansel and Gretel metaphor.
Okay.
But I think there's not a snake in that, so maybe that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But like he is lying on the ground and his mouth opens up all gross,
Ew,
and he's trying to.
This is what I'm thinking.
Is this what you're thinking of?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to like gobble up a kid or a lady
Gross.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sort of like a head on a snake body.
Right.
Real gnarly.
Yeah.
Really, really gross. Anyway.
Yeah. So I guess I wonder if they took any inspiration from these stories for that or not. Could just be inspiration from a snake.
Yeah. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it would be a really good idea to like take from some of this, like these stories, this like Japanese, like these monsters, ghosts and characters. They're so unique.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I guess that's probably why J-horror has such a good reputation, I guess you would say. You know,
like
it's a genre unto itself, I guess, because it's particularly creative for whatever reason.
Yeah, I guess so. It's so like you don't see anything else like it.
Right.
Anywhere.
Do you feel like a lot of J-horror have coincidences with each other? Like when you say there's nothing else like it, is there anything about that genre that seems cohesive in any way to you? Like not literally but and the answer might be no, but I was just curious, like, is there anything that seems like in a singular way Japanese about it?
Based off of, I've kind of got two answers. So a while ago, probably like 15 years ago or something, there was obviously like the giant boom of what was called like J-horror, where in America we were constantly remaking Japanese horror films like The Ring and The Grudge. And those primarily ended up focusing on like technology in conjunction with ghosts. In The Ring, it's a videotape that passes a curse. There was one about a camera that shows pictures of the dead, and it would usually end up being about like a ghostly white person with long, like greasy black hair over their face.
That's true. There's a look.
Yeah, there was a look to that. But also, what is his name? He worked with... So there's a game called Silent Hill, which takes place in a fictional town that's constantly like gloomy and foggy. Yeah. And there are like really bizarre like monsters based on psychological concepts of like feeling persecuted and doomed. And it's really dark. It's really messed up. And there was almost a reboot of it with a really creative game director called Hideo Kojima. And he was working with a man who produces really insane manga. It's like a sort of like a Japanese comic book style, and it is some of the craziest stuff that like I've ever seen. I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick because everybody needs to look it up. I think this might be it. I mean, yeah. Okay. The man's name is Junji Ito.
Okay.
Everybody, if you're into horror and if you're into
wow, this looks cool.
Like looking things up that like you've never seen anything like it before, look him up. Junji is the first name. Last name is Ito. He comes up with some of the strangest. A lot of it is like things that are kind of out of this world. There's I think that there's a comic that's about a woman who's obsessed with spirals. She sees spirals everywhere she looks, and eventually she starts to see them in her own face. There's a story of like somebody buys an easy chair, and it turns out that there is a dead body inside the easy chair. almost so that like the dead person's arms are in the arms of the chair.
Yeah.
And their lap is the seat. And so you're sitting in the chair and you're sitting on a dead person's lap.
Oh man. I would like to read these. This style is really cool.
Yeah. Everything I've ever seen is fascinating. It's one of those things that I'm like, I think about it all the time. A lot of the artwork is kind of gross.
Right. But I love it. I really like this.
Nothing else like it from what I've seen.
Yeah. Huh. I'm going to have to look this up.
It's almost as crazy as what you and I were talking about the other day, The Thing.
Yeah.
The movie The Thing, where it's just like weird tentacles and it's like there is no understanding it.
Yeah, it's insane.
Any effort to logically break down what you're seeing would actually diminish what you're experiencing.
Yeah, you may as well just experience the raw, like what the hellness of it, rather than try to break it down.
Don't ask any questions.
Yeah.
It is great. Junji Ito.
Huh, I'm very interested. That's cool.
He's one of the reasons that I started like getting fascinated by, and creepypastas. Like I would read creepypastas online and then find out that it was about like there's one about a Japanese woman who her face was cut open and she'll just be walking around the street at like 2 a.m. and if she sees you, she'll like skitter over to you and she'll go, do you think I'm pretty?
Oh God.
And if you say yes, she'll cut your face like hers. And if you say no, she'll like drag you away to the underworld or something. And so there is no right answer.
That's so sweet.
I know. It's so, and it doesn't feel like anything I'd ever seen before. And being a fan of horror, I feel like once I started reading about the sort of like unbridled creativity, like it just opened a door that I still feel like I haven't like properly explored it.
So have you read any of Junji Ito's comics?
There are some available online, but I'm hesitant to point people there because like I believe in like paying the artist and stuff. I have read some though.
Okay.
And
are they not available in the US or something?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I love it though. It's
I'm
so
like real
out there.
I really want
fascinating.
I really want to get something now.
Yeah. Almost
Cool.
like, and I've said this a lot. I've said this like we've been doing podcasts for like 6 years. I've said this a million times, but it's still true. The movie Poltergeist, Steven Spielberg. There's there's an element of creativity in that. Of the monsters and what they do, that it's just like I've never seen it before. Where it's just like there's so much of it. Like, yeah, your braces are going to eat your face, and then that tree is going to try to gobble you up, and he's going to barf out a tequila worm that turns into a monster, and you're going to rip off your own face.
Yeah,
and this is going to happen. You're going to get sucked into a TV. It's just like so much happening that like your head is just like spinning with it.
Yeah,
like a big monster that moves as if it's underwater, and you're just like, I don't know what's going on.
Right,
and there's no way to get a conclusive answer about any of it.
Right.
That's the best kind of horror to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I was just thinking about Poltergeist like yesterday or something. Did you see the Poltergeist remake with Sam Rockwell?
No, I wonder if he dances in it.
Oh God. He can't. Not in Poltergeist.
I bet he did on the set.
Oh, he did. No. He did. It's a given, William. It's a given that any room that man walks into, he's going to dance in.
He likes to dance.
He likes to dance. But I don't think he danced in Poltergeist. It's disrespectful.
It would be disrespectful. But you know what? They say those movies are cursed. So
it's true.
Having Sam
That's true. How much worse could it get?
Yeah.
I like Sam Rockwell. Look, this is a whole other subject.
I like him fine.
I think he's a good actor, but once I noticed how much he dances, I literally can't unsee it and I can't unthink it.
He dances.
That's what I always think about when I see him now. Like it completely.
Don't think it, don't say it. Don't think it, don't say it. Don't think it, don't say it.
It completely tainted him for me.
Sam Rockwell can't stop dancing.
Guys, if you Google Sam Rockwell, I guess Google, but put in YouTube Sam Rockwell dancing, you will be surprised by the breadth and scope of videos available to you, the different settings, the different movies, the different TV shows, the different commercials. That guy is dining out on the fact that he can do a little faux James Brown ditty.
But no one's called him out on it like really publicly yet. So every time he does it, people go like, I didn't know you could dance like that. And
I know.
He gets the further satisfaction of being like, well, yeah, I like to. Whatever.
So why would he I know he can be all like, well, so why would he stop? I know. It's insane. Guys.
It's a problem that feeds itself. I've been trying to stop it for years.
I implore you, watch it, but don't feed him.
Yeah, don't feed the Rockwell.
No.
Yeah, every talk show entrance.
Yeah, it's
I would say probably 90% of the time when he walks through a talk show's curtain,
yes,
he's doing a sweet James Brown 70s dancey move.
Absolutely. I would say it is in the 90% range.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God. Talk about scary.
Yeah, exactly. Monster of the week.
Yeah.
Talk about bite-sized monster madness. Sam Rockwell's dance moves. Woo! Woo! Oh my God. All right. I've got one final thing.
Okay.
Well, kind of two, but I'll make them super fast.
Okay.
Because of some of the artwork about the Rokurokubi, it sometimes seems like the head is not completely severed from the body.
Okay.
Because I think it's supposed to look like you're almost, it's supposed to be like a dotted line, being like, this head belongs to this body. But a lot of people would interpret that as being like the head's being held on by a string. So there's yet another version of this monster where the head is literally held on by a neck that is as thin as,
Whoa.
yeah, like a string. Like,
Oh man, you know what that makes me think of?
What?
Like silly putty. If you were to pull it and then you kind of
Yeah.
coil it on itself, maybe that's how it comes back to being like a normal neck shape for just daily life.
yeah. It also doesn't help that early silly putty was all flesh tone.
Disgusting.
It's a weird choice.
It completely was. I mean, only white people flesh tone, but still, like, why would anything just be that disgusting off
It
pink
was
color?
gross. Yeah, I didn't care for that.
No.
And then there is another version of this monster, kind of like how we found out that a lot of these creatures pop up in different cultures around the globe. In South America, there is a version called the Chon Chon. It takes the form of a human head and flies around, sucking the life out of people, which implies it is not a human.
Yeah.
However, I also read that sorcerers use magic cream
Oh.
and they put it in the throat of somebody who willingly has come to the sorcerer and is like, I will do this.
Okay.
And it eases the removal of the head from the body.
Wow, that's some magic cream.
Yeah, that's some real magic cream.
Good stuff.
Head flies off the body, sucks the blood out of sleeping people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then people want to be able to do that if they're going to the sorcerer.
In that, it does seem like
Right.
some sort of like a dark magic
Yeah,
ritual,
yeah.
as opposed to like some ethereal, incomprehensible
Right. It's something that you
condition.
just are or have, I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
So, weirdly enough, it's the Quarter Quell here on Guide to the Unknown, episode 25.
Yeah.
Tiny, tiny look back. My personal fear of a severed head flying around chasing me,
Yeah.
and a fascination with a creepypasta about a man whose neck stretches.
Beautiful.
All tied up in the Rokurokubi.
Beautiful. Tied up with a green ribbon.
Yeah, that's right.
Tied on, tied up, tied out.
But it made me feel
Yeah.
a little bit like it's like, it is sort of a full circle of like, why was I obsessed with that story? And
Who knows?
that story that I loved and was obsessed with and a childhood fear are both kinds of this
Right.
monster.
Right. That's crazy. Had you known, like, how did you find out about this?
It's stupid.
What?
I Googled monsters that drink blood.
And you're like, ooh, and this one's a floating head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. And it just all took off from there, Kristen. That's how it happened.
That's amazing. Your own personal creation story.
Yeah.
All right. So I told you guys last week what I was going to do. I'm going to talk to you about the Dybbuk Box.
The Dybbuk Box.
Dybbuk Box. So this is one of the most well-known haunted items sold on eBay. And it's thought that it kind of not kicked off the jam, but definitely seems like it was one of the most publicized, and then maybe more items got added on to it afterward.
Okay.
So, so the thing with the Dybbuk Box story is that part of what's so interesting about it, but then what I'm going to paraphrase and read select quotes from, is that the original eBay listing, just like some of the eBay listings that I told you guys about last week or read last week, is long and super detailed, which is really cool, but it's really long.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about it is that if you look it up now, because you can find like the mirrored or cached version of the eBay post. So as I'll tell you, one person put it up, somebody bought it from them, and then that person decided to resell it on eBay as well.
Okay.
And when they decided to resell it, they copied and pasted the original posting that caused them to buy it and then added update at the bottom. Here's what happened to me now.
Awesome.
Buy this.
Awesome.
It's really interesting. And then somebody bought that, and I have a little bit of their story. They didn't put it up on eBay, but I know a little bit.
Like it's landed with this third person.
Well, William, it's landed with a fourth person. Maybe you've heard of him. His name is Zak Bagans. It resides.
They call him Zak Bagans.
Zak Bagans. It resides in his haunted museum.
I knew that before you said it.
Yeah.
But I forgot I knew it.
Right.
It's disappointing to me.
I know.
I feel like this is an artifact, not knowing what it does, what it is.
His museum sounds weird as hell. I can't remember exactly, so don't like hold me to it. But when I was reading about this, it was talking about the other items in the museum, and it's like Michael Jackson's propofol drip.
Ooh.
Or something like that. Definitely propofol something, Michael Jackson's. And like Dr. Kevorkian's, what was it? Like his van or something like that. I was like, what kind of haunted? It sounds like he just bought like items that have creepy stuff attached to them.
Just like sad history.
It seems like kind of like, I was like, this seems not classy. A museum with Michael Jackson's. It's maybe it's the propofol drip, maybe it's something else. But I remember I was like, ew, what kind of museum? That like, it didn't seem like it had a whole lot of credence because of the weird mishmash of objects it sounds like it has in it. It doesn't seem like a very serious paranormal museum.
It doesn't sound fun and scary. Those things make me sad.
Yeah. And the Dybbuk Box is in a room by itself. The guy knows his razzle dazzle. It's in a room by itself. You have to be 18 or older to go into the room, and you have to sign a waiver. And opening the box is part of its thing, which I'll go into, and he has not opened the box because he's scared.
Of course he is.
Although, I mean, honestly, it's of all his weirdnesses, I think that's probably not a bad idea. Just keep the Dybbuk Box closed. Zak Bagans.
I'm scared of everything, so I won't open the Dybbuk Box.
I forgot that's what his voice is like.
I'm petrified.
I'm scared. Okay.
I wish I didn't buy it.
Okay, so I'll start by telling you that what Dybbuk means in Jewish mythology, it's a Yiddish word that means a Dybbuk is a malicious, possessing spirit believed to be the dislocated soul of a dead person. So it's a distinction, but it's not a demon.
Okay.
It's a soul of a dead person.
Kind of like a ghost.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But it seems demonic, but that's not what a Dybbuk is. And it leaves after what it's possessing has accomplished its goal, sometimes after being helped to achieve that goal by a person or something. So I read about the Dybbuk Box when I was researching for eBay last week.
Yeah.
And then when I was doing more research this week to put this together, I found an episode of one of my favorite ghost shows, genuinely, like not even, campy wise, like Zak Bagans stuff, which I enjoy, but like kind of ironically. I think we've watched it together. It's called Paranormal Witness. It's on Sci-Fi.
Maybe.
And it's genuinely scary. Like I've watched episodes before and then like wished Ryan was home. It's really good. Like it's recreations and things like that, reenactments, but not cheesy at all. It's really well done. And they're interspersed with the person who it happened to telling their story in talking head format. And it's really good. It's a really good show. So I saw that there was an episode about the Dybbuk Box of Paranormal Witness, and luckily it was available online on like Dailymotion. So if you Googled Dybbuk Box Paranormal Witness, it would come up if you wanted to, or maybe it's on demand or something like that. I seriously love Paranormal Witness. It's worth seeking out. But so I watched the episode. So I was originally just going to work off of the eBay listing because I think it's so cool. It's so weirdly kind of complete in itself.
Yeah.
But now I have a little bit of a different perspective, and I'm glad that I do because it's the people who this happened to all participated in Paranormal Witness. It's really sweet.
Awesome.
So I have the listing, and I'm going to kind of use it to guide me because it's a very long story, but I'll sort of interject the things that I saw from the show.
Wow.
So first of all, the original eBay listing from the first seller of it, it's a guy named Kevin. The listing starts with, all of the events that I'm about to set forth in this listing are accurate and may be verified by the winning bidder with the copies of hospital records and sworn affidavits that I'm including as part of the sale of this cabinet. So like dead serious.
Wow.
He's got the receipts, as they say. So this happened in 2001 in Portland. And this guy was an antiques refinisher and seller. And he would go to estate sales and buy stuff. So he was bidding on a pallet of items from this estate sale. So it was a bunch of different things. And within that pallet was this thing that he learned was called the Dybbuk Box. So the Dybbuk Box is a wine cabinet. And one of the family members of the deceased, it was an older woman who died and they were divvying up the things in her house, came up to him. Yes. she came up to him and she was like, "Oh, you got the Dybbuk box," and he was like, "Yeah."
Ah, the Dybbuk Box chose you.
Well, also, this guy is Jewish, and so he said he knew what a Dybbuk was. Like, he said that when he was growing up, it'd be a thing. It'd be like, don't be bad, a Dybbuk's going to come and get you.
Cool.
So he knew what that was, and he was like, the Dybbuk box. And the woman was like, yeah, my grandmother always called it the Dybbuk box. And so the granddaughter told her that her grandmother, who was the one who passed away, had been in Poland and grew up there, and then like raised a family, everything. And then during World War II, she was sent to a Nazi concentration camp. Then she escaped with a bunch of people and ended up in Spain, which is where she bought this wine cabinet, which was later called the Dybbuk box. And so it was from there. And she told her granddaughter that she told her granddaughter, number one, never to open this box, and also that she wanted to be buried with it when she died.
Wow.
And the guy was like, oh, well, I don't want to take it then. Like, you can keep it or whatever. And she was like, no. And he was like, well, you don't even have to give me a refund. You can just keep it. It just seems like the right thing to do. And she was like, no, you bought it. And he was like, okay.
Why would she not bury it with, like, I don't understand.
Because bad things probably happened with it and she wanted to get it out of the house or something like that.
But presumably, like, if that's your wishes.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know.
Kristen, I want to be buried with my Nintendo Switch.
You got it, unless it causes me trouble, and then it's out of here.
Damn it.
Because what if I'm cleaning up your house and stuff, and this thing is causing up all kinds of mess, and I'm like, look, I just need this thing out of my life. I don't even want it buried with William, because I'm going to go visit him, and it's going to be like sending its vibes up to me. I don't want it.
Well, I did start The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on Master Mode, and it has been causing me some mess. So I can understand why you would say that.
So he was like, all right, I guess I'll take this. So he took it back to his shop, his antique shop, and then he had kind of like a woodworking shop underneath it where he would work on stuff. And he left it down there, and he thought it was just kind of like a pretty and weird box, and he planned to give it to his mom as a birthday present. And he was like, oh, I'm going to like rework it and refinish it, and then I'll give it to my mom. So it was down there. And one day, and he had an assistant who worked in the shop, and one day he left to do some errands and left the box in the basement, and locked. It sounded like there was kind of like, you walk upstairs and there was like a gate you could close. I think it was like an old shop.
Yeah.
And lock, and left his assistant there and said, I'll be back in a few hours. And then he got a call from her, and she was freaking out and crying. And the assistant was in the show too. And he was like, that's just like not what she's like or anything. And she said that she thought that somebody was in the shop because there were all these crashes and noises and light bulbs were exploding. And it sounded like somebody was like taking a baseball bat and just like bashing things in there. And so she was like, come back. So the guy turned around and like sped back and came in, and she basically, I can't remember what he said. She said like, I'm getting the F out of here or something, and like left. And he was like, what the hell? So he, he unlocked the gate to go down into the basement, and they had fluorescent lights, like those stick lights in the ceiling, and they were all exploded on the floor. Like all the lights are messed up. There's stuff all over the place. And he was like, well, so somebody's in here. Like, who is in here? Because there's no way in or out of that basement. Like there's no, crawl space. There's no doors. So he was looking around. There was nobody in there. And he was like, what the hell? I don't get it. Yeah. I think that was just kind of where he left it. Like, I don't know what just happened to you.
Well, yeah, if there's nothing that you find, there's nothing you can do about it. What are you supposed to?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the woman who worked for him never came back. She was just like, that was too freaky. I don't know what that was. I can't do this.
Yeah. I respect that decision.
I do as well. So, like you said, he was going to give the cabinet to his mom as a birthday present. And about 2 weeks after he had originally gotten it, he decided to start refinishing it and stuff and reworking it. He says later in his listing, and he said in the episode of Paranormal Witness, that he didn't connect this stuff to the cabinet. Like he was just like, he just doesn't think about that stuff. You know what I mean? So he's just like, this is strange. So he starts to refinish the cabinet. And I'll just quote it here. I was surprised to find that the cabinet had a unique little mechanism. When you open one of the doors, the mechanism causes the opposite door and the little drawer below to open at the same time. It is very well made. Inside the cabinet, I found the following items: one 1928 U.S. wheat penny, a 1925 U.S. wheat penny, one small lock of blonde hair bound with string, one small lock of black or brown hair bound with string, one small granite statue engraved and gilded with Hebrew letters, and he's been told that the letters spell out the word shalom, one dried rosebud, one golden wine cup, and one very strange black cast iron candlestick holder with octopus legs. And he was just like, interesting, weird.
Yeah.
So he saved all the items in the box, intending to return them to the family. And the family refused the items, so they will be included in the sale of the cabinet.
Wow.
So, so his mom came to, so his mom's birthday was October 28th. That Friday, the 31st, Halloween, his mom came to his shop and they were going to go to lunch for her birthday because they didn't get to celebrate yet. So he showed her the box and he was like, "Oh, this is for your birthday. Happy birthday." Now, this I found so funny. Well, some of this is funny and cute. Some of this was like horrifying. So the mom is in the special as well. She's like a really old woman. And she said that she liked the box. It was kind of a weird present. But what she said was that she's used to getting strange gifts. Her husband would get her a plaid coat every year. He knew I hated plaid, so I returned the coat and get something that I liked.
That is an excellent detail.
It seemed like they almost do like a goofy gift thing. She was like, "I'm used to getting presents that I hate and that are weird. My husband gets me a plaid coat every year. I have to return it." I was like, I love this woman.
The interviewer was just, okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're still on the coat. All right.
It was awesome. I paused it and I was like,
That's amazing.
I had to write it down real quick.
That's amazing.
So she said that at first she liked it and thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then he had to go make a phone call before they left to go to lunch. And he said that he was maybe away for like 5 minutes and then one of his employees came running into the office and said something was wrong with the mom. So the mom in the show described it. He doesn't have it described from her position in the eBay listing. It was upsetting in the show. Like, I don't know, it just seemed very sincere. So she said that she was sitting there looking at it and it felt like it was looking back. Like she was just staring at this thing and it just felt evil. And she said that it felt like a door, like not literally a door hadn't opened, but she said it felt like a door had opened and cold wind was blowing out. There was just this thing happening to the room. And she said it was pure evil and she couldn't look away. And she said she knew while it was happening, you're not going to want to smile in a second. She knew while it was happening that she was having a stroke.
Oh.
She could feel it happening and she knew she was having a stroke. She said, "My mouth contorted and my eye pocketed, but she was frozen and there was nothing that she could do about it."
Oh my God.
So obviously, she was fine, ish afterward. But so, I guess an employee saw what was happening and went and got her son and he came and they, called the ambulance and all that kind of stuff. And she said that she couldn't communicate at all, but she was conscious. And she said, the one thing I wanted to do was to impress upon him that he had to get rid of the box. She said that she wanted to communicate and she was just staring at him and she couldn't do it, but she just wanted to say like, "This has to do with the box. Get rid of the box. This is not good." So then they didn't say this in the special, but he says it in the eBay listing that when she was in the hospital the next day and she was recovering, he asked how she was doing and she teared up and spelled out the words like, by letter, "No gift."
Okay.
And he thought that she meant that he didn't give her a present for her birthday,
right.
Which now seeing her, I get it. She's like a funny gal. And he was like, "No, Mom, I did give you a gift. Like, you'll see it or whatever."
Or but maybe he thought that she wasn't like responding correctly to stuff.
Well, yeah,
like,
maybe
lost her memory a little bit or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right, maybe. Actually, he says, I assured her that I'd given her a gift for her birthday, thinking that she didn't remember. But she became even more upset and spelled out the words "hate gift."
Wow.
And he laughed and told her not to worry. "I'm sorry she didn't like the cabinet, and I'll get her anything she wants if she promises to get well soon."
This is something that I would hate if it was in a movie. But
yeah.
No. What I'm about to say.
Well, it's like, I don't know. It was kind of like, I wouldn't want to see a dramatic Like, this is a scary thing of like this woman having a stroke in a movie.
No, that was very
Yeah.
sad, and
Yeah.
it made me feel.
But I could see that
horrible.
being played for like this scary moment, but it's like killing you to see
Well,
it.
there's a little bit of it that made me think of Indiana Jones 4, Indiana Jones in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Not a good movie.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones has a staring contest with an inanimate
Monkeys?
No,
Something about
that's
monkeys,
Shia
right?
LaBeouf. They have
Okay.
the same haircut. Indiana Jones is staring in the eyes of a skull of an alien, and it's like taking over his mind. It made me think of that a little bit,
Yeah.
but
I don't remember.
it's real and it's sad.
Yeah. No, it was sad. Like this woman was like like she was like crying.
Yeah, I could feel this happening to me as I
Yeah.
was staring at this thing. It's horrible. Horrible.
Yeah.
But specifically writing out hate gift. This is what I would hate if it was in a movie. I immediately was like, it was chilling. Just like your Annabelle story. I got a chill up my spine. doing
Yeah, it's
what you were
freaky.
just saying.
Yeah.
But also it's like, it was a gift of hate in a weird way.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'd hate that if like that sounds like a
It is.
cornball
Yeah,
line
it
from
is.
a
But
movie,
like, yeah.
like,
in a way, because it's like some sort of evils attached to this
Yeah.
thing. So it's a hate gift,
Yeah,
not just
exactly.
hate gift.
yeah.
Because she was just trying to be like, I hate it, get rid of it.
Get this
Yeah,
away.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, yeah, if that were in a movie, it feels like
Yeah. You'd be like, oh my God, it wasn't that she hated the gift.
it's a hate gift.
It's a gift of hate.
Yeah, as if that's like a real thing you can get.
It's a hate gift.
Like Will Benson in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. When the killer's name is Ben.
Oh,
and then they
God.
find out
Yeah,
that
yeah,
Will
yeah.
Benson is the killer, and he goes, "You still don't get it, do you? Will Benson? Ben's son."
I love that.
and he says it with this look on his face like, it's been staring you in the face the whole time. Except nobody talks like that, so. Get out of here. Get out of my face.
So he said, still, I didn't associate anything that had happened with the cabinet itself or anything paranormal. Frankly, I don't think I ever even used the term paranormal until this last month. So then basically he said that he gave the cabinet to his sister because his mom didn't want it.
Perfect. You get it out of the family.
Yeah. I guess he was like, I still have this cool cabinet. Mom doesn't want it. She hates the gift. I'll give it to
Yeah.
you. And she complained that she couldn't get the doors to close and they kept coming open. And so she didn't want it.
Okay.
And he said it's weird because there are no springs in the door mechanism that would make it just like pop open and not stay closed. It should just stay closed.
That's a weird detail. I'd be like, so why don't you try to fix it, or like, I don't know, why are you giving it back to me? Like,
Yeah,
if
I
I
don't
gave
know.
you something, you're like, I don't like it. It doesn't say shut, so
Yeah.
you take it again.
Yeah.
Like, no, I get now it is your problem.
Yeah, right. Gave it to you.
Right? Like, it is your problem now. It doesn't always belong to me, and if you don't like it, it's back to me. You know what I mean?
Well, no, he's a woodworker though. That makes sense to me.
I had turkey for lunch.
No, that makes sense. His whole job is refinishing things.
Guess.
If you gave me, I can't. There's no analogy that works in our lives, but like, if you were a woodworker,
If I wrote you
and
a
were-
story and you didn't like
I don't like the ending. Fix it. No, but like if you're a woodworker, you're like, oh, I have this cabinet. Mom didn't like it here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this thing doesn't work. Can you fix it? That makes sense to me.
All right.
Okay. So, and then he says he gave it to his brother and his wife, who kept it for 3 days and then gave it back. And his brother said that it smelled like jasmine flowers, while his wife insisted that it put out an odor of cat urine. He's just like, I don't know what's up with this thing.
What's wrong with the brother? Yeah. Doesn't have anything to do with the cabinets. That's
He's like, smells so good.
you know, like a cat's litter box.
Yeah. So then the guy
Smell it
maybe
all
it's one of those
day.
like scented cat litter things. So then the guy, the original owner guy, gave it to his girlfriend, who was like, I don't want this, or tried to give it to her or something. Or I guess she did take it home because it comes up, but she was like, I don't want this. Just sell it to somebody. Like, enough of this cabinet.
Yeah.
So he sold it to somebody in the antique shop. And then he came into work 2 days later, and the cabinet was sitting at the front doors with a note that read, "This has a bad darkness." And he was like, what the hell? All right, fine, I'll take it home. So he took it home and he put it in this like shed in the back or something that was just like a storage thing.
Smash it.
Yeah, I don't think I would like, I don't care about this thing anymore.
That's like, we've reached an absurd level of back and forth.
Yeah, completely. It's ridiculous.
I'm not keeping this thing.
No, I don't need this. Just donate it. So then after he brought it home, he started having recurring nightmares. They were very much like a hag nightmare kind of thing. He says that he dreamed about a hag, like beating the tar out of him in his dream. It sounded like a very scary dream. And then, his sister, he had like a a bunch of people, like a family staying at his house or something. His sister, his brother, and the brother's wife all stayed over. And his sister complained that she had a horrible nightmare. And she said that she'd had it a couple of times before and then described like exactly his hag kind of nightmares. And he was like, what the hell? He said that his brother and his wife were frozen during that story. And they were like, we've had that dream too.
Wow.
No, they had that dream last night as well. And he said that the hair was standing on the back of his neck because he had been having this dream for like a long time now, like weeks or something. And as they talked, it became clear that the common denominator between their dreams was that the cabinet was around. So then he called his girlfriend because she was the other owner of the cabinet and asked her if she had had any nightmares recently. And then she described basically the same dream. And he asked her, like, do you know when you had that nightmare? And she was like, I don't know.
June 3rd.
Yeah. And she was like, I don't know. And he was like, could it be the night before you gave me the cabinet back? And she was like, yeah, how'd you know that? And he's like, meh. So, basically, he was like, there's something wrong with this cabinet. And in a short period of time, he started seeing shadow people. Like weird stuff started happening. The smoke alarm started going off. He kept getting hit with the smell of cat urine. All kinds of crap. So then it's
a shame that other guy would have been loving it.
It's like, smells beautiful in here.
Hit me again,
Jasmine? So
Princess Jasmine?
Yeah. So, but he went outside, he grabbed the cabinet, and he started trying to research on the internet using what was in the cabinet, what was written on it. So he's using it as a reference while he's researching. Yeah. And then finally he went to sleep. And when he woke up around 4:30 a.m., the house smelled like jasmine flowers. And he was like, what the hell? This is very weird. So he says, I would destroy this thing in a second, except I really don't have any understanding of what I may or may not be dealing with. Yeah. I'm afraid, and I do mean afraid, that if I destroy the cabinet, whatever it is that seems to have come with the cabinet may just stay here with me. I've been told that there are people who shop on eBay that understand these kinds of things and specifically look for these kinds of items. If you're one of these people, please buy this cabinet and do whatever you do with a thing like this. Help me. You can see I have no reserve price or minimum bid. If I can make things any easier, let me know and I will do everything within my abilities.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So then this kid bought it. It was like a college kid.
Yeah.
Who was just sort of into this sort of stuff. And he lived in a house with 6 roommates.
Do you know how much he sold it for?
What did he sell it for? $140.
Wow.
Yeah. Because there were some bids on it. Oh yeah. So in the show, he was like, I'm seeing the number of watchers. It's like 75,000. It's moving up. Like, I couldn't believe how many people are interested in this stuff. Like, there is a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of interest in things like these on eBay. And I was shocked. It was just like a world I didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
So this kid bought it.
Haunted down here.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. So this kid bought it. He did a little bit more research into it. And he said and so I'm reading now from the kid's listing of reselling the Dybbuk Box. So he's giving a little bit of backstory. He says he bought it out of curiosity and he set up a website to answer some questions about the Dybbuk Box because this kid was like a blogger. And this was in September 2003. And he was blogging about his experiences with the Dybbuk Box as it was going on, which plays into it. And he said that he stopped updating it after a while and he hasn't updated it since because he doesn't want to talk about it with anybody anymore. So he says that if you believe in paranormal phenomena, the box contains or is possessed by at least one Dybbuk, possibly 2, because as the grandmother stated, which I didn't say, the granddaughter had said that something about, what did she say? She had said it's a Dybbuk. She called it a Dybbuk or a Keslam. And a Keslam is a term similar to a Turkish word that means priest. This would probably correspond to the pair of wrapped strands of blonde and or black hair. So maybe it's like it's somehow possessed or whatever by a Dybbuk, which is that kind of disembodied spirit, and maybe the spirit of a priest.
So light and dark.
Exactly. So that's the hair thing.
That's crazy.
Yes. So the kid says that he was interested in it because he thinks it's cool, but he was kind of doubtful of it, and he kind of thought having a blog of owning this haunted thing would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
But a bunch of weird stuff started happening. 2 people who live in his house started complaining of their eyes like burning like crazy. And he said one of them Like they were beyond bloodshot. The guy looks like he had like bloody eyes, one of his roommates. And that he was just, one of them was just totally listless and totally depleted of energy. These two guys were affected the most, and another became spontaneously sick. But then also where these are written.
So a house full of college kids, they had pink eyes and they wouldn't get off the couch?
No, here's the thing. So he's like, these weird things all happen. They could be coincidence. So on these things that he's saying are like, weird events, then in brackets, it'll be like, it could be allergies. Then being like, whatever.
Gotta take more of my medication.
I'm allergic to that dank stuff.
The only thing that'll heal my ill is more hacky sack. See you on the quad, bro.
Then a few days after those little things started happening, the air outside the house was filled with small bugs for several hours and then crawled all over the Dybbuk box and the wall by the Dybbuk box. Oh. It was freaky in the show. That was one of the parts I was like,
Yeah.
And he says weird summer stuff in brackets. Like, it's just like summer mates, like gross bugs.
I thought you were saying it was like the Dybbuk box was labeled like weird summer stuff. Like, I kept my SPF 30 in there.
And then just like tons of weird bad luck. It's actually really funny, some of this stuff. They got caught with a tidal wave of bad luck. Strange odors now permeate the house. Oh, a bunch of frat boys have a stinky house. You don't say. Well, they weren't frat boys. They sound like nerds, like sweet nerds. The dumpster out back overflows with trash and decay. One roommate suddenly got bronchitis and I broke a finger. Several mice have died in the engine of one car, and more electronic devices seem to be dying every day. Xbox, toaster, TVs, and watches. So in the show, he was saying like all of their electronics were just like busted. Lights kept going out. Light bulbs were exploding. They're like, what the hell? So he started to be like, something's up here. I don't like it. But he was kind of suspending disbelief, and he was like, it's all weird for sure, but nothing that's that harmful or scary.
Nothing that's impossible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then here is why he doesn't want the box anymore, because stuff happened to him. So he said that around October 6th, he started feeling bad with trouble sleeping. The problem has persisted through today. He lives alone now, which he doesn't explain. That just makes it sound like, who knows, the roommates moved out. You could wonder because of these things. And as of late, he's noticed he's replacing a lot of burnt light bulbs and getting weird car repairs, like constantly. I've started seeing things, sort of like large vertical dark blurs in my peripheral vision. I smell something like juniper bushes or stingy ammonia in my garage often, and I have no idea what from. Most disturbingly, last Tuesday, and he gives the date, my hair began to fall out. Today, Friday, it's about half gone. I'm in my early 20s and I just got a clean blood test back from the doctors. Maybe it's stress related, I don't know. Anyhow, for personal reasons, I very strongly do not want this box anymore. I hope there's someone on eBay that will take this thing off my hands. I would just throw it away in the woods or something, but I know there's been some interest in it in the past. So he puts it up on eBay, and there are people bidding. He put it, I don't remember what it started at, but people are bidding, and this guy who is the director of a museum of osteopathic medicine in Missouri, who had been following this kid's blog, documenting his experience with the Dybbuk box, saw that the kid put it up for auction, and was, because maybe he had updated his blog one more time and said hey, and he really wanted it. He thought it was really interesting, but he was the guys in the show, he was like, I thought I could study it. He's some sort of like, I don't know if he's a doctor or a scientist or something, but he's like a legit like guy. He had like a lab and stuff.
Okay.
He was like, I want to study it, open it, look at it, see what's up with it, whatever. So he wanted it so badly that the price was crawling up on the auction. And he was like, I just want this thing. So then like when it was getting toward the end of the auction, he was like, well, this guy originally paid $140 for it. I'm just going to double that. Like I'm willing to just double it. So he bought it for $280.
Wow.
So he gets the Dybbuk box and he did start studying it and things like that. And the thing that stood out to him, or is standing out to me maybe from the TV show, is that he detected using a black light that there was wax on the outside of it, like as though it had been dripped on it. Like not actual wax you could see, but I guess doing whatever.
You could see residue.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And he was like, so maybe that's from some sort of ritual or something. Who knows? And then he started having a lot of the same problems that they had before, but it was a little bit more physical. He started getting hives all the time. He was coughing up blood, and he had head-to-toe welts. And so he, having known now the history of it, even though he thought it was crazy, a lot of people in his lab started being like, feeling sick and things like that. And they were like, get rid of this thing. I don't want this in here. Everybody feels like crap. There are weird things around it. You need to get it out of here, or else we don't want to be here when this box is here. So he also brought it home, and he took it a little bit more seriously now, even though he was like skeptical, and he was like, all right, maybe there's something up with this thing. All this weird crap is happening. So he took it to like a shedder garage or something and put it away. And then when his wife was washing his clothes that he had been wearing when he went to put it away, she touched his jeans. She was putting them in the laundry. She got these crazy welts all over her arm. And she went to show him, and he said that it was like nothing he'd ever, like he didn't recognize that. He said it looked like blisters, but instead of like, sorry guys, it's disgusting. Instead of like them seeping like pus, there was like blood coming out of them. And he was like, I don't know. And she was like, did you touch poison ivy with your jeans or something? Like, what the hell's going on here? And he was just like, there's something up with this box. So here's what brings the story kind of full circle and starts to wrap it up. So, he contacted the original owner, the guy Kevin, who bought it from the woman. And he was like, I didn't think there was anything with the box. I thought this was just going to be an interesting thing to have. There's something weird with the box. Can you find out any more history about it? Because I want to get in touch with a rabbi, do whatever I need to do to like end this kind of thing and move on. But maybe you can get me some information from the people that you bought it from.
Yeah.
So the guy, Kevin, went to the house that you bought it from, and the granddaughter answered the door, and he was like, hey, you bought the box or whatever. Or I bought the box. And she was just kind of like, no, like you bought it. Like, why are you
Won't
here
even
or
talk
whatever?
about it.
If I remember correctly, kind of. But then this older woman comes next to her at the door, and she's like, I'll tell you about the Dybbuk Box. So it was an older woman named Sophie, who was the grandmother's cousin. And she said that when they were in Spain... Her grandmother. This is sweet. So she said that when they were in Spain, after they escaped from the concentration camps, that they lived together, and that that the grandma had made a spirit cloth, which was basically, it's almost like the setup of a Ouija board, but on a piece of cloth. So it was like a tablecloth that had like the yes, the no, the letters, and the numbers. And they used a pendulum over it too.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, exactly. And they used a pendulum over it to like contact and whatever. And they felt like they contacted something evil and bad. And then they had done something to seal it inside the wine cabinet.
Wow.
And that was why the grandma said never open the box or whatever.
Aha.
Because they sealed this thing.
And she wanted to be buried with it so that it could never be opened.
Exactly. So then Kevin told the doctor guy that that's what happened. The doctor guy contacted a rabbi. They did some sort of something, but still in that doctor guy's property. It was still like on, in his shed or whatever, and sealed it. And then things seemed to get better. And the doctor guy in the TV show was like, nothing bad has happened, but like, I think about it all the time, because what happens when I die? Like, how do I make sure that nobody opens this again? Like, how do I make sure that whatever? So, and then it ends there.
I'll take the box.
It's me, Zak Bagans.
You may know me from television. I got possessed in a demon house.
So then, enter Bagans.
For real?
Yeah.
All right.
And I just found that online. Like, that wasn't part of the show or anything at that point.
Oh, so this
actually,
is
in the show, the guy was like, I wouldn't sell it to anybody. I wouldn't do anything. And then I found conflicting information. One thing I read said that the guy donated it to Zak Bagans. And I'm actually inclined to believe this.
Yeah.
Not a lot of detail, but it said that owner just gave it to Zak Bagans. And then it seemed like the sites that I found where it talked about buying, it just was kind of like a throwaway site where it's like Zak Bagans bought the Dybbuk Box, but didn't seem to be going into the history of things. So I'm actually inclined to believe that they would just assume that if he got it, he must have bought it.
Yeah.
I think that it's not impossible, although who the hell knows, but I think it's not impossible based on this guy's attitude from the show that he would be like, I don't even want any weirdness attached to this, just take it. So
or
who knows?
if Zak Bagans was like, I can ensure that no one will ever open the
exactly.
the bagel box.
Nobody will fall to harm or whatever. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, so this says he donated it, and yeah, that you have to be 18 and sign a waiver. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
I know.
And so crazy, and I've never heard of that.
Me neither. I'd never heard of it either. There's a Sam Raimi movie about this, loosely, called The Possession. Do you know about that?
No.
It doesn't look good. I watched the trailer today. It's with oh god, I always get them mixed up. Hang on. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, not Harry Dean Stanton.
Okay.
It's with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and it's like loosely based on the Dybbuk Box kind of thing. It is buying a box at like a garage sale or something that is possessed and stuff.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it doesn't seem to really be that similar.
Yeah.
And I think it is called the Dybbuk Box in the garage sale.
Yeah. Clyde and Stephanie buy a wooden box from a yard sale, and they see little cause for alarm.
Right.
The next word is however, so I bet it gets scary from
Yeah.
there.
And it's all about the daughter. The daughter is like attached to the box and does like bad things to her or whatever. Or like, she starts to be possessed or something.
Yeah, it seems like Sam Raimi maybe produced it. Yeah. Not directed, which makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it didn't look good.
Yeah.
Like there was a scene where like they brought her to get an x-ray or something, and like I couldn't even tell what I was looking at. They're like, I think it was that there was like a face in her chest or something.
There's
like
a
maybe
face on her skull.
Because then like there's a scary part where it's like all quiet, like toward the end of the trailer, where like she's like looking in a mirror at her like the inside of her mouth, and like a hand starts to crawl out.
That rings a bell.
Yeah. It didn't look
Yeah.
good.
All right.
So that's the thing. And James Wan is in it briefly. He plays a rabbi.
Oh,
I know.
that's funny.
He's in the trailer. I was like, is that James Wan?
Yeah, it does sound like something that would be in The Conjuring. So
Yeah, it's a Lionsgate.
That's kind of funny.
It's a Lionsgate.
That was excellent, Kristen.
Thank you.
That was wonderful.
Look, don't thank me. Thank the Dybbuk Box.
Do you believe in this Dybbuk Box?
I mean, I don't know.
Would you sign the waiver to see it?
Yeah.
It sounds way worse than a Ouija board to me.
I wouldn't want to like play with it or anything,
Would
but
you
I would
open it?
see it. Yeah.
I will let one person
Honestly,
open the Dybbuk Box.
The Zak Bagans of it all makes it a little bit less scary to me. Like I feel like if there was some sort of like paranormal museum that I felt had credence to it,
Right.
that had the Dybbuk Box with an 18 plus waiver, I think I would skip it.
Yeah.
I think I'd look in the door from afar.
Yeah.
But Zak Bagans with his Michael Jackson death paraphernalia in the same museum takes away some of the sting in a way.
It is funny that it does the opposite of what he wants it to do. It makes it less
what I
scary
bet-
to me that he owns it.
But I bet he makes a butt ton of money. He probably doesn't care. You know what I mean?
Does. I bet he does.
So-
It makes me just want to be like,
Look, it's Bagan's world. We're all just living in it.
yeah, it's true. Kristen, this little pistol,
Yeah.
this is what Jack Ruby used to kill Lee Harvey Oswald, and I put a ghost in it.
Oh my God. Well, William, according to I know it was loaded.
Oh, it's loaded.
It's a one hitter, huh?
It's all a Nerf gun. It only fires one dart at a time.
Well, interesting, William. The lore of the Dybbuk Box and lore of a bajillion other things runs counter to what we learned from Ed and Lorraine Warren, where they say that an item can't actually be possessed. It
Right.
can only be a spirit of something manipulating the item.
True.
Which could be the case. Who
But
knows?
I wonder if it's not like the box isn't possessed.
Right, maybe it's just it's just
contains.
yeah. Actually, yeah, you're right.
And why would
Right.
opening it not let it out? It's like it's contained in the object, not literally contained in like a box. You know what I mean? Because it sounds like plenty of people.
Maybe
have
it's like
opened
you
it.
can let it out, but they're on kind of like a leash.
Yeah.
They can't go
They're
places
magically
without the
confined.
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
box, not literally you close the door and it's trapped in there.
Right. They're just like, yeah. But it sounds like opening it is bad news.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
That was
totally.
awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right.
Right.
Everybody.
All right. Hello, everybody.
It happened again.
That's right.
We've done it again. Another
Damn
episode
it.
of Guide to the Unknown has concluded.
That's right. Thank you so much for joining us. If you want to join us online, you can follow us at GTTU Pod everywhere. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I post cool, creepy links during the week, so you might want to check that out. And we also have a private Facebook group. So if you search for Guides to the Unknown podcast, you can find that.
Yes. You can also go to patreon.com/GTTUpod.
Yeah.
Or download the Patreon app so that you can donate to the show monthly. It's a very excellent way
Yeah,
to
it's-
support what we do here.
Yeah, it's awesome and super appreciated. So if
Yes.
you like this, that would rule.
Probably the biggest thing that you could possibly do for us if you felt that chill that I felt while Kristen was talking about the Dybbuk Box. If you've ever been haunted, tortured in your dreams by a severed head floating about your house, go out there and share the fear with another.
That's right.
Tell your friends, tell the world, write some blog posts. If you work for the New York Times, write a front page article about Guide to the Unknown.
That would be ideal.
And if you're lucky, we might thank you.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, we'll see you all
Yeah.
next week for another terrifying episode of Guide to the Unknown. Until then, if you want to get in touch with us individually, that is an option.
Yeah, I'm at Chillin' Kristen on Instagram and Twitter.
I am at Haunted Sponge. We will respond to you wherever we are, because as you know, we must travel.
Back to the netherworld go we. Good night.